work with Casey and William many times, and I never know how to follow that. So you've heard some stories, and now let's take a look at the statistics. A lot of people call this a housing crisis, but really, I think you heard it. We are facing a human crisis, one that affects 7,000 human lives in our community. They are children, they are seniors, they are families, and each and every one of them is surely worthy of our love, our help, and our support. So you might be wondering, what's actually fueling this housing crisis that we're talking about? And really, there are two key ingredients. To simplify it, wages are not keeping pace with housing costs. Here's a simple fact: in our community, rents are virtually double the average income for our clients. And I don't have to tell you that that math just doesn't work. The second issue is around the affordable housing supply. You can see here that we have close to a 30,000 unit shortfall for very low and extremely low income households. It's not that we aren't building housing in this community. We are. We're just not building housing at every step of the way. Oops, sorry. I can see why you're confused. You're wondering, where's the next slide? 30,000 unit shortfall is what you need to take away from here. So, the data and the stories together. I want to take you back to something that William mentioned, which is that we met with the unhoused and the housed in Antioch in the last several months. And during the course of that time, we asked people to define home. So I ask you right now, take a moment, go to your cell phones. I know you all have them out. Maybe you have a tablet out. Go to menti.com, or you can pick up the QR code and enter in the number. It's super easy, straightforward. Pull out your phones. Come on, I can't believe I've got to convince people to grab their phones. Pull out your phones, go to menti.com, and then enter in the numbers 78377089. Folks on Zoom, you can join us. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to take a moment and type in, what does home mean to you? What image comes to your mind? What feeling stirs in your belly when you think about the word home? So for those of you who might not be familiar with this is the word cloud. And as the same word gets typed in, right, it becomes larger. So we can see that a lot of people are typing in the word safety, comfort, love, sanctuary, security, stability, refuge. So I'm going to let you keep adding it as you wish. But what I want to show you, which I think is really interesting, is what did we hear when we were in Antioch? You got it? Reverend Will's taking a shot. Oh, so sorry. Thank you. So let's remember that I saw safety, security, comfort, stability. And interestingly, take a look at what we saw when we met with the unhoused, housing insecure, and well-housed. Human basic needs.
You gotta stand it closer for the people to hear, they can't hear.
Basic needs came out the strongest. We also then saw, right? So basic needs, folks care about having a roof over their heads. They care about having shelter. They care about having a bathroom, having a kitchen, right? We also see safety, support, returning. And the other thing that we heard when we were out in Antioch is that home is also a place to lay your head. Home is a place to help your kid do homework. Home is a place where you might bake a cake for a friend's birthday, or you might care for your elderly parent. That's what we heard is home to all the people that we met with in Antioch, and I bet you it's also what home means to you. And yes, we are seeking to build structures, roofs and walls, kitchens and bathrooms, but more importantly, we are trying to give these people new beginnings and new possibilities and hope. So you might naturally be asking, why aren't we just building more affordable housing? Well, first of all, it's hard to identify land that has the right zoning. The second thing is money. That's another key obstacle, right? Land is expensive and typically can represent 25% of any given project. And today, shockingly, to build a single affordable housing unit can cost somewhere between $750,000 and $1 million. And that's just to build. That doesn't include all the operating and all the maintenance thereafter. Market rate developers can get financing from banks and the cost of construction can get passed on to renters, but that model doesn't work with affordable housing because we can't sufficiently cash flow the rental income to borrow against. So affordable housing developers have to cobble together a bunch of different funding streams in order to make it work. The third factor is time. We just don't have time. A typical stick-built home can take up to 5 to 7 years to build. We really can't wait that long. And the reason for that is very complicated. And then the last factors are around government and community pressure. We all know and see that NIMBYism is very, very alive in our communities. So we're very excited to bring a new and innovative solution that we believe can really break down a number of these barriers. Micro homes, known also as tiny homes or cottages, can be built on faith-owned land, coupled with supportive, professional supportive services and a loving community, is one real and very viable solution to address the crisis that we are facing. Microhomes are cost efficient and quickly assembled. They meet the California State Housing and Community Development standards. Look at them, they're beautiful. This is not a tough shed. It's not a pallet home. They are not temporary. They contain private bathrooms and kitchens. They are built from the same standards as your home and mine. They're just smaller. And these dignified homes are permanent, meaning that the residents can retain their power to stay and decide when they are ready to move on. This is not intended to be transitional housing. So let's go back and take a look at how we're breaking down the barriers. With land, by working with faith institutions, they are interested in some cases to donate the land and in other cases to do a very low cost land lease. That really helps out with the cost of the project. We're also leveraging these microhome communities. These microhomes are manufactured homes and they are far less expensive compared to a stick-built home. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up with myself here. Time. We're able to substantially reduce the amount of time that it takes to build these microhome communities because we are able to build the microhomes in a manufacturing site, in a factory, while at the same time we are able to do the site work. So we are able to substantially reduce the amount of time that it takes to do a build on a faith community owned land because we are bringing on these microhomes, these manufactured microhomes. And finally, we're doing a lot of work around the entitlement process. You're going to learn more about the Breakthrough Grant. You're going to learn about the work that we're doing around policy. And you're also going to learn about some legislation that Senator Wiener through SB4 has brought forward that will hopefully help to streamline this effort. And we all have to work together around NIMBYism to continue to educate and debunk all of the myths around affordable housing. So let me leave you with one important takeaway. Building homes is necessary, but it's not sufficient. Keeping people housed requires professional supportive services by organizations like Hope Solutions, case management, mental health support, education and employment services, access to food and other critical resources, parenting support. and full-time property management. Other groups may try to skip this critical step and just do the builds. But I will tell you, as stewards of our communities, it is essential that we have a critical eye to what will be making lasting change and ensure that there is long-term success by making sure that we are building both affordable housing and that there's a long-term plan for professional and operating services. Oops, sorry. Okay, so communities of faith have a diversity of resources. Some have land, others can provide volunteerism, others possibly philanthropy, and yet others advocacy. What I believe is that our combined effort can have greater impact than the sum of our individual parts. We have a chance to do something together. And I am really excited to now introduce for you, I think it's 12 different clergy who are going to talk about the ways that they are getting involved and being a part of this effort. I'd like to invite up Pastor Mark Burnham and Pastor Christy Dick. Yeah, go ahead. I think I have those slides.
Hearing that there are 12 clergy speaking, I hope you're not scared at all. We'll keep it short. You could be here for a long time.
They all know they got 3 minutes.
That's right. There we go. There's our timer. I just waited 20 seconds. I'm Mark Burnham. I'm the pastor at Grace Presbyterian Church in Walnut Creek. So you see up on the screen the project that we have on the books and almost ready to go. A little history. There's a saying, I think it is attributed to the late Tip O'Neill, that all politics are local. The same is true, the corollary is all ministry is local, right? All of us know who are faith leaders that depending on the neighborhood, the particular place that you're at, that very greatly affects your ministry. When I came to Grace, it was in April of 2020. Some of you remember that time when everything was shutting down. It was a little difficult to learn much about the neighborhood, about the community, so I asked some questions and heard some stories and everything. And during that time, during the shutdown time, we got a letter from a couple of the organizations in Walnut Creek saying, would you be willing to listen to a proposal about using faith land, faith community land to have housing? And so we really didn't have much else going, so it was like, sure, let's hear what they have to say. Famous last words. But we realized, looking at the space that we had, there was plenty of room for us to provide some space. That we had lots of parking, and we didn't really use it very much. I also found in talking to church members that 40 years ago, there had been some extra land next to the church, because this had been a little bit of a rural area that is now built up like many of our suburbs. And they had sold 2 acres in order to provide housing. It's called Tice Oaks Apartments. I think it's up there on the screen. And that provides 97 one-bedroom units for folks who are 62 and older, and it provides affordable housing for them. So there's 108 residents who have been there for 40 years, and it provided this housing. Now, at that point, they sold the property and it was developed separately from the church, but it was interesting to note that most people didn't know about it, didn't realize that it was affordable housing, that it had once belonged to the church. So in the institutional memory of the church and of the community, there are many folks in the community. We're right across the street from Rossmore. They didn't know that was there. So in many ways, we had already done this. So this gave us an opportunity in our time, in our particular place, to begin to imagine what would it look like if we have this resource, we have this land that we are not using. There's just something morally wrong about just holding on to it, right? Just because it's ours. So here was a way, a very small portion that we're leasing to Hope Solutions to be able to provide housing for our neighbors. So it's been, in some ways, what's gone for me is from, why are you doing this, to the question of why wouldn't we do this? Given the partners that we have wonderful partners in Firm Foundation and with Hope Solutions, why would we not do this? So that's kind of where we are now, and I see I'm 5 seconds over, so I'm going to stop for now. But thank you, and I'll hopefully, if there are questions later, be glad to talk about them.
Well, good morning. I am so happy to be here. I am Pastor Christy Dicht. As I had said earlier, I co-pastor with my husband, Stacy Dicht, at Pittsburgh Church of the Nazarene. We arrived there about 6 years ago, and our congregation was already ministering to our community. We hosted various AA and NA groups free of charge on property pretty much every night of the week. And the longer we lived in the Bay Area, my husband and I realized, wow, owning property is a huge resource in this area. How can we better use it? So we brought that question to our church board, and we said, how can we start dreaming bigger? And we felt God calling us to 24/7, using our property for the kingdom. And so we are like, okay, God, I don't know what that looks like, but let's start dreaming and praying together. About 6 months after that, Winter Nights came to us and said, hey, would you be willing to allow people who live in their homes to park in your parking lot? And we were like, yeah. And so we started this partnership with Winter Nights, where people come, they have a safe place to sleep at night. They don't worry about their tires being stolen off their car. They don't worry about being woken up and being told to move. They use our kitchen and our bathroom. They have places to celebrate birthdays and celebrate holidays together. It's this beautiful, sometimes messy community and partnership that we have offered them. But if you're like me, you like numbers, 24/7 is 168 hours a week. Between the support groups, our worship gatherings, and now Safe Nights, that's still only 88 hours approximately a week we were using our property. And so we are nowhere near that goal yet. We're only halfway there. And so we just keep praying, God, use us, use us. How are you going to use our property for the kingdom 24/7? And that was when we met Hope Solutions. And I love what Pastor Mark said, why wouldn't we do this? And they came with this proposal for this micro home community on our property. We have a gravel lot in the front. It's not been utilized for the 50 years we've had it. We've had dreams, but nothing has ever come to fruition. And they said, we would love to partner with you and build this community. And it just made perfect sense. It was, yes, obviously, we have this property, we have this desire to use it for the kingdom. Hope Solutions has this expertise, this ability to house people and invest in people. Why wouldn't we say yes? And so we did, and we're still working through what that yes is going to look like, but we are just so excited. And the amazing part is our church, our leaders, all we had to do was say yes to God. And God has unveiled these beautiful partnerships that are already existing in our community, partnering us together. We are just forever grateful for that. Thank you.
Okay, I want to welcome up, thank you so much. I want to welcome Rabbi Grants, Pastor Gully, and Pastor Atkins Whitley.
So you heard one of the ways in which we can get involved is if our faith communities have the land, they can support it with the land. One of the second branches that are important to bring any of this into fruition is philanthropy. And how do we reach people and how do we raise the funds that we need in connection with grants and everything else that we can raise. My particular expertise and joy is to go one-on-one. I think that each of our faith communities has individuals who have greater potential than others in terms of giving, and sometimes they need somebody to show them where they could make this investment that will, in reality and in quick time, make a difference in the world. That is, how do we move fast? And one of the ways is to identify those people in our communities and to be willing, and I know it's an effort and it's difficult, and when I started doing this, it didn't feel as comfortable. Now I love taking money from people. And I assure you that if you have those people who have the capacity and you are willing to contact them, you will get the results. In this particular campaign, starting campaign that we're doing, where we want to raise around $7 million, we are already past the $5 million fundraising. And most of it, but not all of it by and large, most of it comes from these individual one-on-one visits where we can really shake the tree and get the max fruit available.
And I think I enjoy raising money almost as much as Rabbi Gratz.
Getting really good at it. See how we go?
Like Rabbi Gretz, I too enjoy taking money from other people and separating them from their wallets. And one of the ways that I have tried to implement that at LOPC is by generating excitement in raising funds together. So I know a lot of your congregations do offerings and perhaps special offerings, and what we at LOPC did a year ago last Easter, so almost exactly a year ago now, is do a special offering that was specifically for Hope Solutions and specifically for pre-development funds, which I learned through my friends at Hope Solutions are just so important to the work in, especially in the Grace Presbyterian Church build, all the architectural fees and city permits and all that kind of stuff. Why I think a special offering is so important and generates so much excitement at our church and possibly your congregations as well is that it provides education about the event at hand. Jasmine just presented some amazing facts, and the way that we worked that into our offering was to provide a really quick 3-minute video where I interviewed Jasmine and Deanne Pern, and we showed that to our congregation. So in this time, a captive audience in worship, we educated people about the project and what their funds would be going to. We generated excitement by telling them what they could do. I like doing that by saying, if you give $25, that provides da-da-da, and so on and so forth as we raise the money, hopefully separating more people from more coins. Obviously, the other important part of this is to fundraise, to actually generate the income. But the other part also is to create a different kind of investment, to help people understand the project, get them excited, but also get them invested in seeing it to completion. How might they at Grace Pres or some of these other builds be able to be volunteers in the future? Perhaps also be able to give even more in the future. So those 4 things: education, excitement, fundraising, and also creating investment for ongoing in the future has been really important and powerful in our community special offerings. So I offer that to you as a possibility. It is not rocket science. This is pretty basic. I'm here for anything. If you guys have any questions or even potentially want to utilize raw footage from that special offering, you too can do this in your congregations as well.
I bring you greetings from the people of God at Danville Church and from our senior pastor, the Reverend Eric Sherlock. We understand our work there at Danville Church as inspiring people's theological imaginations as to what is possible in their own lives with God and what is possible in the world around us with God. Now, I don't have to tell the people in this room that Danville San Ramon is in a bit of a bubble, and that is complicated. But we understand our work as connecting folks with opportunities to express their faith, to form their faith and express their faith in the world around them, even outside their backyards. And so because all of our work is intersectional, I want to tell you a couple of other things that are going on that we can connect to in addition to our work with CCIH. We know that transgender people and the community in the world around us are under attack. So we're connecting them with the Trans Day of Visibility that will be here in Concord on March 31st. We're connecting folks in the fight against police brutality as experienced by African American people. And so we invite you to join us in Danville at 1 o'clock on Saturday to remember the murder of Tyrell Wilson there in Danville. And we also are committed to our work with Hope Solutions, which we've been a longtime partner. We used to budget some money that would come out of the general offering, but we understand that people have multiple pockets to give from. And so we pulled that out of our budget and have special offerings when people are invited to give. And we also empower our people to bring to us the things that they're passionate about, whether it's their work with PFLAG or Rainbow Community Center, or in this case, Hope Solutions, which used to be CCH. And so we had some folks who were integral in the forming of this organization who said, we're really passionate about this, and we really think that we could come together to benefit this project. We don't have the land to build housing like some of the other groups, but what could we do? And so these folks came together and they planned a party, a Mardi Gras party, a way for us to get prepared for the Lenten season ahead. And people donated, everything was donated. The food was outstanding, and folks danced and they engaged in their bodies, and they came together to build community around a shared purpose, invited their friends, and in the process, were able to raise a little over $30,000 in one night. Now, these are people of deep faith and also privilege. And so our opportunity there in Danville, in a place like Danville, is to bring those together and figure out what can we do. And so we're grateful for opportunities like that, and many opportunities to connect with people like our youth leading our church in an intergenerational day of service with CCH, multiple ways to support